What's up, friends? It's 12 o'clock on a Wednesday, and you're here with us at Cannabis Legalization News. I'm Miggy 420. That's Tom.
I'm Tom, and thank you so much for joining us. Smash some likes, click subscribe. And, there was an awesome webinar on New Jersey yesterday. So if you saw that, definitely leave something in your comments and let us know what you're thinking about your conditional application. That's going to be our next webinar on December the 13th. So I'll get that one ready.
And we're going to have more Jersey news going on today, too. There's more to talk about. But before we get into I headline, I want to acknowledge that today is World AIDS Day. And we have a couple videos that I did a long time ago previously. One is how AIDS activists started the medical marijuana movement. And then the other one is the Pride. Prop 215 is the gateway to legalization. I really think you guys should check those out. If you're really into the history, but we wouldn't have what we have if it wasn't for, and I make a very bad joke of it's off the backs of gay men.
Okay, yeah, but that is very true. And then not only is it that, it's also the continued obstruction of the federal government in the early 1990s by shutting down the innovative novel drug program.
Oh yeah.
So the innovative novel drug program was not this. This is the regulatory compliance plan that I've been working on. And so after watching that webinar yesterday, there is a lot more that I will be brushing up to that, and hopefully I'll have it done by this weekend. So if you do want to get one of those, subscribe to or join our mastermind program, because we're going to be doing a conditional application in that. Innovative new drug. What was the thing that they shut down because of AIDS? People kept joining it in the early Bush administration in the 1990s.
Well, isn't that the one that gave us 8 federal patients? Or no, 15 at one point.
Right.
Federal cannabis patients.
Right.
Which is pretty awesome. I mean,
it is.
When they say there's no medicinal value and there's a patent and there's actual federal patients, something is clearly wrong in our system.
Yep. Innovative cannabis program benefits. No, I mean, and they also bury this type of news. And so that's one of the things that bugged me, because it's the first. And so we check, as we sometimes do in cannabis legalization news. I'll try to stay on top of and use SEO to try to get more subscribers. And if you're a new subscriber, freaking awesome. Thank you. But one of the things that we do then is check it at the end of the month. And so it's another month's gone by. You go to our analytics and you can just see the algorithm at play, just like they just completely throttled us right around, because these are each individual month. So like July, you can just see it. They just shut you right down. And then it's been fairly, just sideways since then. And we're not the only channel that has that issue.
Yeah.
But, it's one of those things where it's just.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with prohibition itself, right? Like these IT techs don't know how to fucking put cannabis in the algorithm. But we're slowly changing. We're slowly getting better. Recently, to the story that's in the topic, top federal drug official says there's no evidence that occasional marijuana use is harmful for adults.
That is the lead story of the day. Top federal drug official. Which one said that?
That is for the National Institute. So we'll go back down. The head of the nation's top federal blah, 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 National Institute of Drug Abuse Director Nora Volko made the remarks in an interview with 538 that was published on Tuesday. In her quote, "There's no evidence to my knowledge that the occasional adult marijuana use has harmful effects. I don't know of any scientific evidence of that," Volko said. "I don't think it has been evaluated. We need to test it. I've been testing it, lady."
How long? How many years of testing? Is this long term enough? Because otherwise we'll just ask Willie Nelson. He's still alive.
I'm just saying, what do you mean testing? Like all the what we call in like science land, the altruistic data, the empirical data is already out there. Like the existence of ending prohibition in several states has already happened. What's going on there? Do you see any evidence of any livelihoods being devastated by this terrible plant because of consumption?
No, suicide rates actually decline. Isn't that weird?
And drug addiction and opiate overdoses.
Yep. In callback news, it was the investigational new drug program. And so this investigational new drug program, and you can see it there. And we've had, I'm not sure if we've actually had Irv Rosenfeld on the show, but I do have one of his tins. And so every month they get mailed a tin full of joints, and they standardize the THC percentage at between 3 and 4%. And they've just been mailing them to them, but they shut that program down in the early 90s because more and more AIDS patients were trying to get into it. And it was creating a problem with their prohibition policies.
LV actually dropped out of it.
No,
There was two people. There was LV and Irv, who were the last two people. But because she lives in Oregon, she gets quality weed, like the
at
shit
much
that they
better
sell.
prices. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, oh, by the way, my cold is getting better. So
Oh,
thank you to
good.
the guy who sacrificed the goat. I think that helped.
Yes, thank you for sacrificing goats. That's what you've come to count on. When Miggy is sick, he just needs a goat sacrificed, and then he's fine, and then he's
Every
ready to
once in a
go
while.
do the news. All right, so what else is going on in cannabis legalization news for the week?
So another one that I found today was in Alaska news in their industry. This
Oh,
article
shout out
is,
to Alaska. We're going to be using Alaska to do a very special name that strain later on.
and this is very interesting because no one's having fun, a ton of fun. Many Alaska cannabis businesses are struggling and failing. Anchorage Daily News.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this one comes to the point of a store owner, and she says, "We had three fabulous great years," said Sue Nolan, and then those days are over. And why? Well, if you go down more, it talks part of it is the taxes. The taxes have been killing these people.
Mm-hmm.
The way they structure this, and just knowing, excuse me, some of the people in Alaska that I've dealt with and known, it's kind of like here in Washington where these entities that are in charge of cannabis that don't know anything about the plant are making up shit as they go, and that's the
Right.
worst part.
Mm-hmm. 49 years of personal experience. I bet we could qualify him as an expert. You know
I
who
think
else I
so.
think has expertise that we could qualify them as a cannabis usage expert?
Who's that?
Snoop Dogg. And he's
Oh
got a
yeah.
Snoop Dogg backed fintech startup. The Bespoke Financial has raised 125, I believe he would call it mazillion dollars to fund the growth of the cannabis industry. And here is a picture of Calvin Brodus, aka Snoop Dogg, giving the peace signals and kind of getting a little Steve D'Angelo vibe going on there. And so that's where fintech startup Bespoke Financial comes in, and Bespoke Financial is the nation's first licensed fintech lender focused on the cannabis industry and focused on bridging the divide between institutional investors and cannabis, which is ever so important in this social equity world that we live in, because the social equity players, they do need capital partners
And
by and large.
if you don't know what fintech is, that means financial tech. That's all this is. It's just an app to get the weed people next to the money people. That's all
That's
this
right.
is. Mixing
Yep.
those two together.
But the
But
Snoop Dogg backed financial, they closed 125 million credit facility to expand its lending capacity and fund the growth of the cannabis industry. I wonder if we can go hit up Bespoke Financial for the build out of the farm in Illinois.
I bet you could, dude.
Maybe
I
we
bet you
could.
could.
Maybe we could.
I mean, you already have an equity applicant, so I mean that's already tearing at those heartstrings.
No, we
But
got but then you also have the actual license.
yeah, no. But and then more financial news and other ways to get money. This in Tech Crunch, there's a vet coming out with cannabis and banking vets launch credit card for dispensaries. Now, this is just another one. The company's called Supernet, but I don't know how long it's going to last, right? Like I've seen many of these tech companies come out and say, "Yeah, we're your banking solution," and then they change in a month because rules or the financial stuff. But you know more about that.
Because
Yes.
rules, and then that's the other thing. And so when it's like, well, we'll do your credit cards. No, you won't. You won't do your credit cards until it's Schedule 1. You're not going to get a credit card until then, even with safe banking, which hasn't passed, by the way. And it still might not. I mean, like the industry, not the industry, the government is going to be shutting down if they don't figure out a way to fund it,
Well, rumor on the street, credit unions urge Congress to pass marijuana banking reform through the defense bill, and there's lots of talk about that safe banking writing that defense bill. And I personally, all these policies we can't lose when they all go through.
Right.
Booker and all these Republican or Democrats who think that they're the way. You're just part of the way, and
You're
that's
just part of the way. It's not about you, man.
seriously
It's about doing the right thing
for your citizens, for your fellow man. This is America. Last I checked.
Dang straight. Wait a second. Hang on. Hey, Google, where am I? God, I hope it says America. No, it's just giving my address. It's just giving my home address, which is way creepier than just saying America.
But better if it just said "buttfuck Egypt," dude.
Cornfields. That's welcome to cornfields. That's where Tom lives.
Also in the news, we have California police are letting legal marijuana business get robbed. Cannabis industry claims.
What? That's ridiculous. And the cannabis police, they need to be a thing. We should have cannabis police making the world safe for our cannabis. That's what I
Well,
want.
the gist I get from this article is like, so in light of like the defund the police conversation that we've had, and we talked about it, cops don't stop crime, but it would be nice if they patrol the neighborhoods because
I
the
thought that was
cannabis.
one of the stories of the week. Wasn't that one of the stories of the week, though? In communities where cannabis becomes legal, cops are more likely to solve violent crimes.
Well, or
I
real
could have
crime.
sworn that they could finally get around to testing the rape kits. I believe that's what it is.
I just yeah, priorities, right? Like any prohibition would enable good policing priorities and drug awareness for people who like when kids people like who got the preacher daughter syndrome, you know, like I'm gonna go party. This is the they smoke a little weed and like, wow, this ain't so bad. I guess heroin's not bad. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because the CAC tells you that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's ridiculous, but it's also being reported. So if you go to Entrepreneur, you will get this pop-up where you could stay informed if you subscribe. And we say, hey, you should, but then also go to cannabislegalizationnews.com and subscribe there. So police solve more violent crimes after cannabis legalization, reported from Entrepreneur. Researchers noted significant increases in the clearance rate for violent crimes following the legalization in Oregon relative to non-legalized states. So put that one in your cap, Mr. Law Enforcement Officer. You could be doing your job even better after it's legalized.
I mean, like doing your job.
Well, okay. Just be careful when it's a bridge to, you're just going to make them mad with that. And he's got a mustache and a hair trigger. Did you say something about me?
All these things.
I have winners.
No, you're the snowflake.
Man, I should just have a comb ready. It's like the finger mustache. That's lame.
Look, I want to get you one of those like you remember in the Reno 911, Lieutenant Daniels? Oh,
no,
he's got the short shorts.
Okay. Now I recall that character. I never really watched Reno 911.
Right on.
I recall Reno 911, but I don't recall watching it.
We got some dumb shit news coming out of Vermont.
Oh, what's that? Dumb shit news out of Vermont.
So Vermont support the VT digger, whoever that is.
All right. Well, why don't you hit Control Plus a few times, and then zoom it in. All right. Let's go back to the Vermont news. Vermont it is a pretty junky website too.
It is. Vermont Medical Society urges banning sale of cannabis with more than 15% THC. More ignorance in the world.
Yeah, that would be the exact opposite of trying to boost or juice your rates. To be like, come on, man. I know it can't be more than 19. Just, add a little bit less stuff to the system to kind of say that there was, or add more stuff to the system to say it was less. They're just going to be trying to jigger the rates the other way. Well, but it also perpetuates what?
What, ignorance?
The illegal market, where the illegal market will be like, oh, yeah, you can't do that. Well, we aren't testing. Oh, maybe they will test theirs and be like, ours is 24%.
Actually, it's funny you say that. Reporter Jim Devine, a cannabis reporter on Twitter, he tweeted just that. He's like, capping THC markets are just enabling the black market or traditional market. That's all it is.
He's got a point. Got a point. That guy, I bet people would read his news if he did stories about weed, and they do. I think he's from the LA Weekly or something like that.
Yeah, he was in several articles. I follow him on Twitter. It's our Twitter and Instagram. I like to
Gram. You can find me at the Gram at Cannabis Industry Lawyer. We just left off the .com or online at cannabisindustrylawyer.com. Do you think we have another 2 minutes to cover before we can get something else? Because I have something to wrap up after we do our little break here at the 20 past the hour.
I got one real quick.
All right, let's do it.
Malta to legalize cannabis for personal use, social clubs, but not sales.
In international news, Malta, that's right, that Malta, you could pick it out on a map, is going to legalize cannabis for personal use and social clubs, but not for sales, which, of course, means that you're going to be joining a social club by the gram. We offer gram social club memberships. Would you like a gram membership? Yes. That'll be $10,
Well, that and there's gonna be a lot of people like again the internet. We as people know how to connect with each other, right? If I were to land in Malta, which is outside of Italy, it's an island. I Google it.
Nice.
It's a nice, it's a nice weed.
It's a good weed.
It's oregano and not to know.
Oh, we shouldn't make fun of outstanding Italian stereotypes. In fact, we should take a short interlude break because it is 20 past the hour. So we're going to think about whether or not we should do these types of Italian voices just for a second. Shout out to Collateral Base, which yesterday we were watching one of the best things ever, and it was this. And so there is a wonderful webinar put on by the CRC. Shout out to them. I think they're doing a bang-up job out of all the states and jurisdictions that I've seen so far. And so the application window for New Jersey is going to open for cultivators on December the 15th. And here is a little cheat sheet slide. You can see, I believe his name is Jeff Brown up there. He's one of the administrators at the CRC presenting, and he gives a little thumbnail sketch of what this limit of 37 cultivator licenses is going on in New Jersey. And so it's a limit of these 37, but that's only going to include the ATCs. And then also, let me see if I can back this up because I just updated it. Probity, application qualifications, 37. Yeah. So it's only going to include the ones that have actually already been in there, the ones that are in the ATCs. The micro businesses do not count. And he kept going on to really stress that there was going to be a only 13-month window. So this limitation of the 37 cultivators will expire approximately 13 months afterwards. And it doesn't apply to conditionals. So conditionals, you get this conditional license and then you have 5 months to get your full license. So, if you got started on it, you'd still have 5 months, and then you get a micro, and then you could be a micro for a year. And then by the time your micro is over, so that's 17 months into the future, the 37 limit has been lifted, and then you can canopy up to 10,000 square feet. So if you want to know more about how to do that, check out our mastermind program. It's going to be the plans that I'll be selling.
And what's the most important part of all this, though? When you decide to be in business in the state, what's the most important thing that you need no matter what in each state?
It's usually compliance. Well, so far.
Okay. Yeah. But until you get open the doors, you have to have property, right? You have to have a place that you're paying the bills and you're applying the application. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because when you do apply for these applications, you better consider where you're applying it, especially in Jersey. Mm-hmm. Tom's River, which is a pretty big little area of Jersey. It's a very bougie area too. I used to live in Jersey. But council members vote recreational pot sales in a 4-1 vote. No,
they're just going to go right next door.
Yeah, well, they don't like money apparently. So
no, they have enough. They don't like money.
They, that terrible weed. But watch where you tend to open your business. That's my word advice.
Yeah, and so the conditional license, you need to identify property, but that's it. And so if I was applying, I just go that property right there, that one. And then you have 5 months to lock it up after you've been awarded your conditional, or you can move your license if the landlord or the community doesn't want to play ball.
So you can just say you intend to be there. You don't have to actually have the lease and all that stuff.
For the conditional, yes. For the annual, no. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's income limitations as well. So it's a very interesting, to try to reduce the barriers to entry for social equity applicants is a very complex puzzle. And I really think that the way that New Jersey is approaching it is just the best that I've seen it so far.
I think, the East Coast has potential as it keeps building up state by state. It's knocking them down. Delaware, everybody has their former medical or recreational now. 5 years, the East Coast is going to have a strong market up and down the coast. California, Oregon, Washington, we've had that strong market years ago when it was medical. I'm not going to say who or what, but there was a lot of California weed that was magically here during medical times, and vice versa. There was a lot of Washington weed in California magically during medical times.
We have somebody that's watching from Norway. Hopefully he's from Voss. I used to live with a dude from Voss back when I lived in Spain. Guy would steal my clothes.
You know what? I was a shitty roommate too, dude. So I'm not gonna.
20-year-olds. Then they're European. They're so socialistic. Everything's mine, you know.
Hey, speaking of money, taxes and everything, what's up with Illinois? Because they say pot sales generate tax dollars. How are Illinois cities spending the money? I found this one really interesting because as you scroll down here to the small little city, they racked
Belleville?
in, small population of 150. They racked in almost $1 million just for a city.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing because they have a 3%, and so
There it is.
these cities are just thirsty for the cannabis cash that will be coming here shortly because there is 185 people all stacked up. Well, actually, it's 185 dispensary licenses in the state of Illinois just in pause because of litigation. That litigation, I got a little update on that one. So I guess I can give you an update on litigation.
But they don't even call it a city; they call it a village. Like,
yeah, there's villages, there's townships, there's cities, there's unincorporated areas. It's Illinois, man. We have dirt, and so
dirt to pull in $1 million, man.
Dirt to pull in $1 million. I tell you what. But the thing is, the litigation with the dispensaries is continuing to move through the courts. They have been consolidated and reassigned to a different judge, and now hopefully that other judge will be reassigned, because that's usually what happens. And then they'll get to some briefing. And then after some briefing, there will eventually be a hearing. And then maybe in 12 to 18 months, those 185 dispensary licenses will be awarded. Maybe 6 months. You know, maybe we'll be lucky and it'll just be 6 months.
Well, fingers crossed. I mean, the more delay that happens to any rollout, it's just hindrance for the people, you know, the society or whatever, the greater good, in my opinion.
Yeah,
this is why we go ahead.
Well, I'm working with my winners to just keep moving forward and to ensure that they have what they need once they say they get. I don't think any of those 185 are going to lose their licenses. I think those are because the state has said that, like, these are our kids, you know, these are our licenses. We want these. And as a result, I'm like, well, they want you to have it. So I don't think anybody's going to take it from you. If anything, they're just going to have a different lottery for additional licenses. And they've said that as well. You know, and I don't know of anybody who's like trying to go out there and blow up all the lotteries. And, well, maybe the third one because of the Army veteran issue. So that third one might be recalculated and redone, but we'd have to see. I mean, and that would require them to say that the process was unconstitutional.
Sure. Well, I mean, it clearly was. I mean, it wasn't transparent. At least it wasn't. There's no clear, like, when the numbers reached out the way they did later. You know, with the same matching applications, that's just ridiculous. You know, you guys are better.
Different scores for the identical applications. Yeah, that was hilarious. That's how you can tell it's real when you get different scores for the same thing.
Well, and that's the unfortunate thing about cannabis, right? It's still viewed as this petty, non-essential thing, even after a pandemic, right? It's like the lowest thing that most people think about. It's like, it always bothers me when people are like, it's only pot. You know what I mean? Yeah, if it's only pot, it's only pot. But it's only pot while people are sitting behind bars and kids are getting taken away. And you know, it's not only pot. It's a fundamental right that.
Yeah, it's treatment. It's healthcare. It's access to medicine. It's access to your cannabinoid system that you might need supplementation for, you know. And it doesn't make much sense. Like, what right do they have to stand in your way? And then not only that, I mean, our lead story, what does the top official say? Yeah, you know, occasional use, there's no evidence of it being dangerous. Then why the F is it Schedule 1? You know what? It's just one of those things that pisses you off so gosh darn much that you have to play a little Name That Strain. It just makes you feel better. We have an interesting one today. We haven't done this style before. So we're going to say, wake up, Wasilla, on this one.
Man,
there you go. Did you see that? That was our Name That Strain for today. Now, it's not just, it is a shout out, though, to an operator in Alaska, as we had just talked to about Alaska at the top of the hour regarding the stresses that they're having. But that is shout out to Alaska Legacy Genetics in Wasilla, Alaska, and the cultivation name is ALG. That is not the strain. There's a few strains in that room. And so you can guess any one of them, and we'll say you win. And so, there's some classic strains in there, some fairly classic ones, some, fruity ones, and some candy ones as well. One more time on Name That Strain. Wake Up Wasilla. Don't you just love farming?
We need more popcorn.
We need more farming. All right. And so I don't see anybody in the sides that have said anything. So why don't we go to one of the most important things that we love to get news stories from, Marijuana Moment. And so Marijuana Moment is reporting that there is a bipartisan lawmakers push for the VA to allow medical marijuana access for veterans as soon as possible, because not only do top officials say that it doesn't have any harm, the VA's own website will sometimes say that there's benefits that have been reported from it, which is hilarious. We've done a video about that back in the past, which is where most of the videos that we have done reside.
That's what I say. For that one, I would think for that title, they should put parentheses again.
Again. Make it again.
It's just like we're going to make America great again.
No, this time he's calling Save America. Yeah, I mean, the Trump administration does not care about the Can Spam Act of 2003. They have repeatedly ignored my unsubscribes, repeatedly ignored them.
Well, they're not real business people, man. They're not.
Well, I mean, but then I just see their branding and like what they're doing for next time, and I'm like, oh, he's clearly running, and he's good at this whole branding thing. See how this turns out.
I'm about running, but grifting, man. They're clearly good at grifting and raising people's fears about bullshit. Like people are too worried in a hizzy about like
this one's close.
Ooh,
that one's close, but
so let me share a little something.
But it's a little bit more fruity than that one. It's like that would be one of its parents. All right, let's just this one's also close. There's definitely a purple in there, but you just haven't said it's also not that one. OG Kush, no, we ain't got no OG Kushes in there. Once again, let's just wake up Wasilla. Times like this, I wonder if this video is going to get flagged.
Oh, it's going to get flagged for that one.
Oh, we don't want it to, because that was like a lawful thing. Like that was completely legal. Yeah. We had the disclaimer that says this is for 18 only. This is for informational and educational purposes. The education is, can you name that strain? It's very important.
So was that one grow room of theirs, or did they have multiple ones? Was that the only one they have?
I think they have more than one. That's just one of their flowering rooms.
Okay, I'm just curious about their ventilation system. I saw the all the fans that were oscillating, but the nerd in me trying to figure out a better way to do it for them.
All right, there is definitely a PP, but there's just freaking F purple, granddaddy purple. There's purples in it, but there's just another type that's there. That's it's a drink, and so like I haven't seen that one yet. That one's one of them. That one we don't have, and so. One of them is Gorilla Cookies. No one's going to guess that. No one would guess Gorilla Cookies.
So today there was that hearing for the talking about the Mississippi case that potentially could turn over Roe versus Wade, right?
No.
Okay. Oh yeah. There was a hearing. I listened to it today, and it was surprisingly short for like a really big point of rights, and like the arguments and everything was really short. But I'm always wondering, like, why is America always trying to be in like 1950 while Canada is in goddamn 2030? So like this right here, I came across their Twitter post, Wicked Wine Tours. And if you go here to the tour section, cannabis tours. Like, how fucking cool is that? Oh, never mind. There he goes. But how fucking cool is that? In Kelowna, cannabis tours in British Columbia. You can get a fucking weed tour and wine tour. And that's what they advertised at. They had a little wine glass and a beer bottle and a little weed puff thingy. And they're like, what better tour than this? And I'm like, you're fucking right. What is up with that, dude?
That is pretty cool. I don't know, man, but I do want to go over like a summary of the news
Yeah.
from the week. So we have Biden's Treasury Secretary saying, of course, marijuana banking would make the IRS's job easier, which is
Jesus.
just great. You just love hearing the of course. All right.
Well,
So happening now, Secretary Janet Yellen agrees allowing cannabis businesses to access the banking system would help the IRS do their job and enable them to collect more taxes from the industry, which is wonderful. So it's like, hey, it's killing us, IRC 280E. Well, let's make it easier to track all those transactions.
you know what though? Like fuck the tax part of it. How about we enable safe banking? So we've had in this past month, right? You've heard about
How many robberies?
Yes, armed robberies, and there's videos. I've seen them, and I don't want to share them because they're very horrible. Like I couldn't imagine having a gun point. I mean, I've been in range, whatever, but like in a store with the gun pointed, told him you get down, and then I saw one guy grab another guy while he was running out of the store, threw him down, and I was like, holy shit, they weren't fucking around. Like safe banking would just make it better for everybody, at least in the industry, right? It's not going to help. Well, it will help mom and pops, right? It'll help them eventually. But
yeah, it would help mom and pops because it helps everybody not get robbed. It also means that you're not going to get jacked at the bank in the sense that you're not going to have to pay $1,500 to $2,000 a month to have a cannabis bank account. Now maybe those are just Illinois prices, but I think those are just prices. And so when you have that type of thing where it's going to be an $18,000 to $24,000 hit per year just to be able to have treasury services, as they call it, for your cannabis license. Yeah, I guess the safe, the shotguns you're not supposed to have because whatever. And then the safe and the big racks, that's just might be easier, keep the 1,500. Well, spend that on fun.
Oh yeah, just the money transition will be a lot easier for everybody. But I see one of our posting here, lots of truckers have lost jobs due to CBD. How can it be reinstated? And why does it take so long? I don't, that's a hard one, dude, because
that is something I would ask Rory McGinty because he's the only truck driver attorney. Well, he's not, he's a trucking attorney. And I'm not sure if he's still practicing. I haven't talked to him in like 6 years because I haven't had a case where a truck was involved in like 6 years.
Yeah. But like for that instance, because federally cannabis THC is illegal, but yet CBD, technically hemp is legal, and these guys are testing hot. I mean that
hot that for draws, what then? It doesn't make no sense. Like how are they testing hot for the THC component of it?
Yeah, they're clean dirty in a cup.
Yeah, and so that's if federal legalization is the only thing that's going to be able to do that, or you'd have to wage a lawsuit that says 0.3%, and I was having the 0.3% of this stuff, and therefore your test is bullshit because it can create false negatives or false positives with compliant products. And so if hemp can even make you fail a test, then that test is wrong.
Well, even cause is not effect, right? Like even if I had THC in my system, it doesn't mean I'm a reckless person.
That's not how the law would work. Yeah, they'd be like, "What's the law say?" That okay? Well, that's what I'm enforcing. It says that.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Here in Washington State, we have a 5 nanogram DUI law, which is just arbitrary pulled out of someone's butt. They were just like, "Here you go." I mean, 5 nanograms, dude.
Doesn't it sound official? 5 nanograms.
So tiny, dude. Like. Let me show you what I got.
You have nanograms? That would be hilarious if you literally had nanograms. And it's like
I have milligrams.
Thing. Can you see this? It's a nanogram. No, I can't. I think you're just putting your 2 fingers together.
This is
all right. You do that one. I'll get another one of these. Oh, wait. Miggy has the nanogram.
No, this is a milligram.
So that is a milligram. That is a dinky little thing.
Whoa.
Oh, and now it's gone forever.
It's a sliver of metal. It's all it is. But it's been weighed to be a milligram, and so the nanogram is gonna. I couldn't even pick it up.
You'd have to put like an N95 mask on because then your breath would just like carry it off.
Seriously,
like, oh,
dude. Yeah. But there's no justification behind that amount, right? There's no been science studies, and that's what I think recently just happened now, right? With the recent bill that passed, and what rode along that was marijuana testing for an automobiles and transportation. So. I think that also will help the truckers. This is going to prove the same thing we'll be saying all the time. Cannabis doesn't make me a reckless human being. It's a personal responsibility. Like if you smoke while you're driving, that's on you, man. Like you don't acknowledge that you you fucked up if you do, but it's not the weed's fault. I think I just lost that milligram.
Oh boy,
I think I
doesn't
farted.
that just stink? I hate when you lose that. And so while Miggy looks for a milligram, which he may
That's
or may not
crazy.
be able to find, we're going to wake up Wasilla one more time and wrap up Name That Strength.
Found it.
That again. I mean, anybody? I'm just gonna. Somebody said Purple Punch. That was one of them. One of those was Purple Punch in there. Let me get my guy's text up here from Wasilla. He said there's some titty sprinkles, some gorilla cookies, some Huckleberry Punch, and many other killers.
That was
And
definitely
some
a guy.
Purple Punch. And I'm like, yeah, we aren't allowed to have names like that in Illinois, but we are allowed to have some names, just not names like that.
I've never heard of titty sprinkles.
Didn't know that was a name.
I mean, there's some interesting packaging I've seen out there, but titty sprinkles sounds pretty awesome. Are you familiar with the Hill?
I am not familiar with the Hill, unless it is either Capitol Hill or the publication The Hill out of Capitol Hill.
That's it. It's the publication, and recently the Hill just posted a webinar on regulating cannabis. So,
oh wow,
I recommend everybody, if you can, go to the Hill website. I caught onto this by this newrevenue.org gentleman I followed, and so he's talking about the Hill cannabis, hashtag the Hill cannabis if you want to find it, but you'll find it. It's them going over Governor Mace or Senator Mace, the Republican that recently she's on there. But again, these are the conversations that are happening, that legalization is going to happen with or without you. So you better just jump on and follow on and throw your voice in if you have a chance. That's it.
I think that's a good plan. Now, you might also find yourself in Arkansas one day as a medical patient. You might say, well, how much is an eighth? We got you. All right, here we go. And so we are at Blue Medicinals in Texarkana. Oh my goodness, they have an eighth of Pura Vida. Oh, there we go. 23%. It's $42.
Holy shit.
That ain't bad, to be honest. I mean, like
a gram?
No, that was 3.5. That was eighth.
No, that was a gram.
An eighth. That was an eighth. It was not a gram. It was not. No.
It said 1G right next to it.
No. Let me show you here. It's again. So that's the 1G, and then that's the 3.5G.
Oh, okay.
And so that actually that valuation right there is actually pretty darn good. That's way better than we can do in Illinois. Like I've never seen 42, and 42 isn't bad. Like that stuff that we got in when I was in Humboldt or when I was in Seattle. Your prices were like 34 through 38 for like great stuff. I mean, and there was some stuff you could buy that was even more expensive. I'm sure you could try to find $50 an eighth stuff, and that would probably just be ridiculous.
They even have $60 eighth stuff here, dude. I mean, there's retarded amounts, but again, the $40 to $30 range is perfect for me. The market has finally almost kind of established where quality can be reasonable, but it's still not good for the patients. It's still not feasible for someone with a real condition and takes a large amount of cannabis for whatever condition they're treating. It's still not there.
Yeah, well, that's the price though, and like the caregiver model's nice, and for 90% of the people, or 95% of the people, that's like great. For that extra 5%, help them out.
Yeah, well, and financial stuff, and I mean, there's reasons why. Price. I mean, it's just so important, and mostly financial. Mostly people are like on Social Security and stuff like that. They don't have a large income.
Hey, do you remember the most trending story from last week?
No.
It was this one. Dogs are being exposed to marijuana through human poop, and pet owners should beware, according to a study. My question to this study is, who the hell commissioned this study? That's what I want to know. Who's like, I'm going to study dog poop for weed?
Well, my question is, so was it human poop?
I don't know. And
Well, I'm
so, a
saying,
word of
like,
caution, dog owners. Apparently, some canines are getting intoxicated off marijuana by eating feces of people who's consumed marijuana, according to a new study.
yeah, where you
This
shitting?
study, published by the Australian Veterinary Journal, looked at 15 cases of confirmed THC toxicosis in dogs who were suspected of or observed to have ingested human feces in Melbourne from 2011 to 2022, which also leads me to my next question on this study. You watched dogs eat shit and then measured it? And then there was only 15 instances of dogs eating weed shit in Melbourne, Australia from like 10 years. What the is this a made up study? And they're just like,
Are you
I bet
looking
everybody picks this up.
Are you looking over the fact, like, where are you shitting? Are you shitting in the living room? Are you shitting on the lawn? Like how's the dog eating your shit? Do you not flush?
I do not know. The
I'm
study's
so
author, Clara Longer, told Marijuana Moment that this shouldn't necessarily be taken to mean that any level of THC is toxic in dogs. The animals in my study had ingested an unknown quantity of feces that contained an unknown concentration of THC. So one would assume this concentration would be at the level that clearly caused toxicity, she wrote in an email. However, this does not mean that all THC ingestion can lead to toxicity. So again, how much weed was in the poop from humans that they was feeding these dogs in this study? This is bizarre.
But I mean, like, first off, how did you even think about this study? Like, you just like take a shit outside and your dog gets it. You're like, hey,
I better call that one lady who had that poster up about a dog study. So does your dog eat human poop? Would you like to be included in the study about whether or not there's THC toxicity in it?
that's the number one fucking study I want to know. Did your dog eat human poop? Because I do not want to come to your house.
No, don't lick me. Don't lick. No. I know where that dog's been. No. But they did say that none of the dogs were hurt. And so that's the nice thing. You know, God forbid. You first off, you feed a dog human poop. And then you lace that human poop with weed. And then you study the dog after you've gotten it high by feeding it crap, literally feeding it crap. I could see why this was a popular story. And so if you enjoyed that, smash them likes. And then, don't forget to leave us a comment, because I'm kind of like Tinkerbell. I kind of just live on likes and subscribes.
Sprinkle it on there. We appreciate all you guys joining us every week. We do. It's good shit, man. But oh my god.
Yeah, don't say good shit. That just totally ruins like the whole concept of that. Now it's terrible. It's just terrible.
But like, did they infuse the poop, or did they infuse the human first to get the poop to be infused?
These are the kinds of questions that we should not be asking on Cannabis Legalization News. We should be talking about cannabis policy, not cannabis parodies. And then the thing is, it's not a parody. I mean, this is actually as the people from Marijuana Moment called the lady up, and she was emailing them back. So craziness.
That is crazy. But I think more studies are gonna come out. And when do you think there'll be the next final session? Like, what we got? We got the fence bill coming up, right? And then we also have the regular budget, correct?
Yeah, and so the budget's going to be a fight, and then after that fight, we'll know. But so stay tuned to Cannabis Legalization News, as that defense bill with the budget and the funding and the safe banking is still kind of in play. We're going to see how this turns out. They're going to need the administration doesn't want to shut down the government. They just don't, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
And it makes no sense not to go forward with safe banking. There's no reason why you want to protect citizens in legal markets.
Seriously, it doesn't make any sense. But the people with running the country, they just don't care about you.
They want the weed they're smoking, you.
That's right. And so I think we're ready to wrap this one up. It was a pretty decent episode. But hey, I'm going to get back to drafting this compliance plan after I take a small walk, because it's actually kind of nice out. You know what we should do, though? We should make sure that they have this end screen, and then we can talk over the end screen. So, hey,
there you go.
Yeah, if you want to subscribe to this, you see that thing in the middle? I think you can click it.
Click.
Or you can go over there, and then you can subscribe to watch some other stuff. So anyway, we'll see you next time.
Damn right.